You're 8 when you first realize that the world is a series of layers, and most people are content to only ever touch the surface. You spend your afternoons in the dark corners of the American Museum of Natural History, staring at mineral deposits. You like the rocks because they don't lie, they have a structure, they have a logic that remains true whether anyone is looking at them or not. Your parents buy you a microscope, and you spend hours looking at the hidden geometry of a leaf or the jagged edges of a salt crystal. You are told you are a prodigy. You are told you are special. It feels like a gift then. You are too young to know that being special is just a way for the world to mark you for a specific kind of labor. You are being groomed to see what others cannot, not for your own sake, but because the people in charge always need someone to map the terrain before they send in the tanks. You're 15 and you are sent to the desert for the first time to recover from a cough that won't leave your lungs. The air in New Mexico is thin and sharp, and it tastes like wood smoke and ancient dust. You ride a horse across the high plateaus and look at the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, and for the first time in your life, your mind feels quiet. You feel a strange physical love for this land, a connection to the dirt and the silence that you can't explain to your friends back in New York. You think about staying here forever. You imagine a life where you are just a man under a wide sky, away from the pressure of being the smartest person in the room. You don't realize that this landscape is already being calculated by men in far-off offices. You think you are finding a sanctuary. You are actually scouting the location of your own cage. You're 21 and you are in Europe, standing at the edge of a revolution you can see but cannot yet touch. You are surrounded by men who are dismantling the very idea of a solid universe. They talk about waves and particles, about probability and the death of certainty. You feel a frantic, vibrating energy in your chest because you understand the math. You see the beauty in the collapse of the old world. But there is a darkness here, too. You look at the geniuses around you and you see how fragile they are. You see how easily a mind can break when it stares too long into the void. You have a moment where you want to turn back, to find a simpler science, something that doesn't feel like a haunting. But you are already too deep. You have tasted the knowledge of how the world is put together. You realize that once you know how the world is put together, you can never go back to just living in it. You are no longer just a spectator. You are becoming an architect of the fundamental. You're 23, and the world outside the laboratory has caught fire. The men in the polished uniforms come to find you. They don't look at your poetry books or the art on your walls. They look at the way your brain can organize 1,000 complicated variables into a single lethal point. They tell you that you have been chosen. It's a nice word. It sounds like an honor. It sounds like you are being invited to a secret society of heroes. They tell you that you are the only one who can lead this. They call you indispensable. They tell you that the tyrant across the ocean is building a fire that will consume the earth, and only you can build a bigger fire to put it out. You feel a surge of pride that tastes like copper. You think you are being trusted with the fate of civilization. You aren't. You are being hired as a foreman for a factory that produces the end of history. You are being called brave because it's easier than calling you a gamble. You feel the first flicker of resentment when the general tells you what to wear and who you can talk to, but you bury it deep. You bury it because you want to be the one who finishes the story. You want to be the man who saved the world, even if you have to break it to do so. You're 24 and you are living in a city that doesn't exist on any map. You have moved your life and the lives of hundreds of others to the plateau you loved when you were 15. You have turned your sanctuary into a laboratory of death. The air doesn't taste like wood smoke anymore. It tastes like ozone and nervous sweat. You walk through the rows of barracks and you see the faces of the men and women who look to you for answers. You realize that your true role isn't scientist or leader. You are a buffer. You are the thin layer of skin between the raw, hungry power of the military and the fragile, searching curiosity of the physicists. You spend your days translating the language of destruction into the language of discovery, so your colleagues can sleep at night. You are the one who has to look at the blueprints and see the shadows of the cities that will burn. You think about walking away. You think about taking your horse and riding into the mountains until the wire fences disappear. But you can't. The fence isn't just around the mountain, it's around your mind. You are the only person who knows enough to be truly dangerous, which means you are the only person they will never let go. You are a prisoner of your own competence. You're 25 and you are standing in the middle of a thunderstorm, waiting for the world to change. You watch the tower in the distance. You watch the countdown. When the light comes, it isn't like fire. It's like the sun has decided to come down to earth and judge everything it touches. For a second, there is no sound, only a white, terrifying silence that strips away everything you thought you knew about reality. You think of the ancient words about becoming death. You think of the faces of the people who will never know your name, but will live in the shadow of what you just did. The tyrant you were sent to stop is already gone, defeated by boots and bullets, but the machine you built is still hungry. You realize that you didn't build a shield, you built a permanent threat. You are celebrated, you are given medals, people shake your hand and tell you that you saved 1 million lives. You smile and nod because that is the script. But you know the truth. You haven't ended a war, you have just made it so that the next war will be the last one. You feel a cold, heavy resentment toward the men in Washington who are already talking about the next bomb, the bigger bomb, the one that uses the stars as fuel. You realize you were never their partner, you were their fuel. You try to speak up, you try to tell them that the fire needs to be contained. They look at you with polite boredom. They don't need a creator anymore, they just need a technician who knows how to keep the engine running. You're 26 and the world has moved on from its need for heroes. The men who once called you the most important man in America now sit across from you in a gray, windowless room. They aren't interested in your physics or your poetry. They are interested in your associations. They are interested in your doubts. They ask you if you regret what you did, and when you try to explain the complexity of it, they mark it down as a sign of instability. You realize that you were trusted to unlock the secrets of the universe, but you aren't trusted to have an opinion on how those secrets are used. The power has shifted. It never really sat with you. It just rested on your shoulders for a moment while the light was bright. Now that the shadows have returned, the power has gone back to the men who don't have to understand the math to pull the trigger. They strip you of your security clearance. They take away your right to know the secrets you discovered. They treat your conscience like a disease. You sit in the hearing and you realize that history will remember the presidents and the generals. It will remember the names of the cities that vanished. It won't remember the way your hands shook when you looked at the telemetry. You will be a footnote in a textbook, a name associated with a flash of light and then nothing. You are 26 and you are back in a garden, far away from the desert and the lead-lined rooms. The sun is warm on your face. You are no longer the director of anything. You are just a man who knows a lot of things that no one wants to hear. You watch the birds in the trees, and you realize that the world is still here. It is fragile, and it is haunted by the thing you brought into the world, but it is still here. You don't get a parade. You don't get an apology. You don't get the satisfaction of being right. You just get to wake up and live with the silence. You realize that surviving this, surviving the realization of what you are and what you were used for, is the only real victory you have left. You aren't a god, you aren't a monster. You are just a person who saw the layers of the world and tried to hold them together. You sit still and breathe the air. It's enough, for now.